very quickly.
Perrin, are you gonna buy one of these new graphics cards, or are you gonna buy all of them?
Probably one, but the most expensive one, if I can somehow get enough money by then and still be able to get a PS5, because I want to do both.
Restream, please give us more advertising money. Go. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io?
Your daily drop on gaming, live streaming, and social media today is the new Nvidia graphics card. Are they worth buying? These bad boys have been in the news literally all week. I even posted a meme about it and absolutely crushed. So this is a good talking point. This is something that a lot of people are interested in, and it's great for people like me who don't know jack crap about graphics card. So let's start with something important here. Let's start by talking about the generational leap and how significant that actually is.
So we can bring up my screen here. They're boasting that the 3070, which is the bottom of the 30 line, will be faster than the 2080 Ti. And they're boasting that the 3080, the mid-tier one, will be up to 2 times the 2080. And they didn't even bother doing the 3090. They just called it the BF GPU.
The BF GPU, I love it. I love it.
I'm assuming that it's going to be something like maybe 2 times faster than the 2080 Ti or something crazy. But the key thing, so they're boasting all this. Obviously, we don't have the benchmarks yet. So as soon as we're able to get our hands on these cards, everyone is going to be benchmarking to see if this is true. But this is the boast. But it's not just this, it's the price point. And the price point is what's crazy. The 3070 being $499, 3080 being $699, and the BF GPU, the 3090 being $1499, which is way cheaper almost across the board than the 2080 Ti and the Turing line was. So it's now more affordable. How could they possibly, like, how is this doable? Why couldn't they do this last gen? You guys have any idea, like, why they're suddenly cheaper now?
I mean, I've got a good guess. I mean, AMD has really been stepping up the competition in just in this space. And I think that, a lot of these companies can hold back performance a generation or wait to release, the highest level performance they're capable of in terms of their technology because they know they're ahead in the technology war. But I think that AMD, because it's been accelerating, their stock price has been shooting up massively. Nvidia realizes they need to pull out all the stops here with this new 30 series graphics card line. They're not pulling any punches. And what's absolutely crazy about this, when we take a look at the pricing, and if you want to go ahead and pull up the Tom's Hardware GPU hierarchy of right now, just so you guys know where the current prices are, and shoot, this one doesn't have the prices on it. But these cards that are here on this list that we're showing you on the screen, they are more expensive, yet less powerful than the new ones. That almost never happens. Whenever we take a generational leap from one generation to the next with graphics cards, the new ones that are coming out are almost always more expensive than, like the 2080 Ti, for example, is currently $1,250, as you can see right now on Best Buy. But every single card that is coming out in this new generation is more powerful than this card, and the pricing starts at $499 for these new generation cards. So what that says is that Nvidia is pulling out all the stops. They are scared about losing market share right now versus AMD, and so they are basically going to provide all the value. I assume that they are cutting their profit margins massively, with the 3070 card being, what is it, $499, Perrin? And the 3080 card is $699? I mean, those price points are so incredibly low. That's basically, about less than half or about half the price of the top of the line 20 series card. And the performance is going to absolutely crush it. To me, this says NVIDIA wants to dominate the next 4 years in graphics cards. And they want to be the graphics card brand for 4K gaming, for 4K video editing, and for 4K content creation. And they don't want anybody to step on their territory, and they're willing to knock their prices down. Maybe even, they might even be taking a loss, possibly, on one of these cards, just to keep that market share. That's my opinion. What do you think, guys?
think they might not be taking as much of a loss as we think. So they partnered with Sony for the Ampere line, and I think, and I guess I can only speculate here, but it might have been cheaper to produce by working with Sony, in which case they could sell the cards for cheaper for that reason. But you also might be right. I think the timing, look at the timing as well. All three of these cards are coming here in September. Let me see if I can pull up the release dates for you all here. And they're coming before the next gen consoles. They're going to hit before Cyberpunk 2077 is going to hit, although I don't know if that was originally intended or not. It seems like it's a play, and here we go, September 24th for the 3090, September 17th for the 3080, and the 3070 available then in October. It seems like it's a play versus consoles. Now, if you think about this for a second, I think it's actually a play versus Microsoft and Xbox specifically, because they're working with Sony for the Ampere architecture, which is what these new cards are based off of. So Sony's already had a hand in this. Sony's also has a PlayStation 5. They're not worried about overpowering a PlayStation 5. They've got exclusives. But what they can do is they can make a play versus the Xbox, because you can play Microsoft games on PC. And in this way, they can get everyone to buy Nvidia cards and to go PC, because the cheapest, the 3070, which is $499, is a more competitive price. I know it's probably not going to end up being cheaper than buying an Xbox to build a whole PC around 3070, but it's cheaper than it has ever been, kind of, to make a top of the line gaming rig this generation, which is huge. PC gamers are going to have a really, really nice next couple of years with this line of cards, and it's right in time for the console season to come out. Am I too conspiracy theorist here, guys? Is that too much to say?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, did it change your mind at all? Because I know we've talked about before how you've been looking at one of the next gen consoles. When you saw this announced, did you kind of take a step back and be like, well, maybe I should wait and just see what this is all about?
Well, I come at this from a creator standpoint, so let's look at it from that perspective. Obviously, I have a PC, and I'm primarily a streamer. I do streaming more than VOD content, so I need a powerful rig to be able to both stream it live and to be able to play the top of the line games. The other thing I need access to exclusives, so the PS5 is still definitely in my radar, and I still want to be able to grab that. But right now, there's absolutely no reason that I would be going to Xbox whatsoever. There's no tangible reason to be hitting that system at all with these type of cards on the market. And I think for creators, that's generally going to be the theme. You already need a powerful system as a creator, so you're already going to be looking at these cards anyway. And then the only other thing you need to be able to play the games that nobody else can play or that are exclusive. And the only place where that is really is Sony PlayStation. So that's your solution. It's getting one of these cards in the 3090 line, having a top of the line system, and going PS5. That's what I'm looking at as a creator.
Yeah, and one thing I'd like to comment on with the release schedule of these cards, and go ahead and leave that up, is they are releasing first the RTX 3080. And generally speaking, in previous generations with the 10 series cards, with the 1080, which is the one I have in one of my systems, and also the 2080, generally the 80 version of the card is the highest value for your money. And it appears to be the case here as well. So as you can see on the screen, to simplify which card you want to buy, if you're looking at power versus price, you want to compare, don't look at the VRAM. The VRAM is irrelevant. And really almost every other statistic related to the card is basically irrelevant. The one statistic that matters the most is CUDA cores, because generally speaking, CUDA cores, the more of them you have, generally speaking, you get proportionately more power with that card, just as a simple way of looking at it. And as looking at this chart, getting basically 8,700 CUDA cores for $699 is a preposterous value versus the previous generation, certainly, per dollar. And versus the current generation, this new generation's coming up. Oh no,
I'll bring it back.
It's confusing.
I was just looking to see if they had CUDA cores on this other chart with the older cards.
To compare them to the older cards. Got it. Yeah. These new cards have thousands more CUDA cores than the previous ones. And so, as you can see from this chart, to pay more than double the price to move up to the 3090, you're only getting, what, 30% more performance, 20% more performance, but you're paying more than double. And moving from the 3070 up to the 3080, you get about 30% more performance there, and you only get a 30% discount. So the point of all of this, the thing you should take away is, if you are looking to make a purchase with the next generation of cards, your best value based on these 3 new cards, strictly by the numbers, is going to be the RTX 3080 card. It is going to be a Beastmaster card for 4K gaming, 4K video editing, and 4K content creation. The 3070 will be good, don't get me wrong, but for each dollar you're spending, I think you're going to get more value with that 3080. And so that's why they're releasing it first, to maximize sales. Then they're releasing the 3090 after that, which is obviously the enthusiast card. And so everybody that's going to buy whatever the top of the line card is anyway is just going to buy that card. And they're waiting until later, October, to release the lowest cost card, the 3070, so that they can juice every one of you guys in the audience, every single potential customer out there, out of every dollar possible with the more expensive products before they do the cheapest one. Because if they release the cheapest one out the gate, more people would buy that instead of the 3080. And so they realize that they can make a lot more money by delaying the cheapest product till later. But wait, there's more. They are obviously going to release a 3080 Ti at some point. That's something that they always do. And so what they're going to do this Christmas season is they're going to get every one of you jerkbags out there that love graphics cards to pay all that money for that 3090, that $14.99 for that 3090 that they can. Because when they release the 3080 Ti, it's going to be somewhere between the 3080 and the 3090 in terms of performance, and the price is only going to be a little bit higher. And then that will be probably the best value for your dollar once that happens. And then they'll be able to suck even more money out of the market with yet another compelling value proposition in terms of graphics cards. And so they have, and obviously they're also going to release a 3060 in the future, which will be even cheaper than the 3070 later next year to generate even more sales to get the low end of the market. And so this is their strategy every generation. Put the most expensive and high value thing out first, then do the second to cheapest next, then put out another high-end thing after that that's the greatest value you've ever seen, and then lastly, they'll roll out the cheapest card to soak up the rest of the market before they move on to the next one. So keep that in mind. So in my opinion, if you have limited funds and you're looking for the highest dollar value for performance, if you got an RTX 3080, you would probably be good with that graphics card for 4 years. Be able to run basically everything on max graphics 4K 60 FPS and be able to edit 4K video at least for the next 4 years plus with that card, and you would be in amazing shape. I have not seen a generational gap like this, and let me know what you guys think. A generational gap in terms of value with graphics cards this big ever. The jump from 10 to 20 was not this big. The jump from 20 to 30 is just absolutely preposterous. What do you guys think about that?
I think it was in, I think I saw it in Linus's video on Linus Tech Tips. He actually went back to see when the last time we had a generational jump that was like even as close. And it wasn't, it was as far back as 2004 that we saw something like this. So every once in, I guess every once in 20 or so years, we get this huge technological jump forward. And not only do we get the jump, we get the price cut too at the same time. I think, dude, how much do you guys think the current, at least in the United States, the consumer issues going on, like, and we're currently looking at an economic depression based off of coronavirus. Do you think that has an impact in prices here? Do you think they've lowered because people have less spending money right now and they're expecting that? I mean, Ross, do you think that has a factor at all here?
It could, but I wouldn't put money on that just because I haven't seen, I mean, like I said, okay, it very well could, but I haven't seen any other companies or any other price drops to match the current situation yet. So I don't know why they would necessarily do that. To me, it sounds like they've just been able to cut costs like tremendously and actually building the product.
In my opinion, I don't think that they did that for that reason either. There's no indication that in the creator space or the gaming space that people are spending less money. In fact,
It's actually more.
they're spending
It's
more
much
money than ever because they're stuck at home. And so I think what they're doing here is they're just making a power play for the holiday season, and they're offering the most value at all three critical price points with graphics cards: low end, mid, and high. And they this season, realizing that 2020 is maybe going to be one of their biggest years ever in terms of graphics cards since the crypto mining craze of the past of about 5 years ago. This might be their biggest financial year ever, or they're trying to make it their best financial year ever because people are stuck at home and because people need home studio equipment now to survive. And they need home studio equipment to do their podcast. They need it to do video editing and to do all these new things that they have new skill that everybody needs to acquire new skills to live in this new world where we're all stuck at home. And so I think Nvidia realizes that market trend is happening, and I don't think they're dropping their prices for that reason. I think it's a market share play entirely. They don't want AMD to catch up for a bit, and they're kind of putting the ball in AMD's court, and they're saying, look, AMD, if you want to get in here and you want to start taking market share from us, you are going to have to cut your margins on your product significantly to compete with what we're doing right now. And let's see if you're big enough for that. Good luck. And they are using their size as a company, their infrastructure as a company, and their brand name as a company as a power play right now. And it's the best play for them, in my opinion. It's strictly a marketing and business play, in my opinion. It's not like they're worried about Americans and everyone not having enough money.
Makes sense. We have a question in chat from Blade SJ. This might be a good time to, if we're recommending, should you buy this card? He's asking, I've got an AMD RX 5700 XT. Should I get the 3070 or the 3080? Okay, so if we go down on the list on the hierarchy here, he is pretty high up on the list, realistically. He's down here, whoops, wrong button. He's down here at this level. I'll highlight it so you guys can see. And he's sitting at, the score is 70.3%. If you compare it to the 2080 is 78%. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 10th on the list.
So this is the 10th best graphics card in the entire world he owns right now. And
Correct.
He's wondering if he should upgrade to one of these new cards, which are more powerful than every single graphics card that is currently available on the market. So Perrin, how would you approach this quandary that a lot of people are looking at right now that have a decent graphics card at the moment, but they're looking, should I upgrade? What are the key questions they should be asking themselves?
You should be looking at budget, and you should be looking at what is the current status of your rig, right? So what processor are you currently running? What generation PCIe slot are you on? That's getting a bit technical, but most likely you're on 3. And if you're using AMD Radeon RX 5700 XT, I think you're on 3. I'm just going to assume that it is. So you want to know, are you going to need to do a full system upgrade with this card, or can you just get this card? You have a pretty modern system and just plop it in and what is your budget? The second thing is time. How much time do you have? Can you wait? Because when these cards first come out, you're going to want to wait for them to get into the hands of manufacturers like EVGA, MSI, all these different cards manufacturers who will take the 3070, the 3080, and they'll make it more efficient. They'll make a better version of it and ship it out. And you wait for those. Normally EVGA is the one to get. They normally have like some of the best.
It's the best value. Their price is lower, but their power is about the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you wait, you will get better deals. You can also then let the computer tech, the hardware tech world do all their benchmarking and everything to prove. Because right now we're basing all of this off of marketing. We're basing all of this off of this assumption that Nvidia says is going to be faster than the 2080 Ti.
Of course they say that. Of course they say that.
Of course they're going to say that. Wait until you get it to the hardware nerds. They grind it through hours and hours and hours of benchmarking, and they bring it to, Tom's Hardware's hierarchy, and they throw it on this list. This will give you an idea. So if you can wait and be patient, you're good. If you have a PCIe 4 slot, you're even better. If you have a 3 slot, I'll get into that in a second because there is a bit of confusion there, and I'll try to do a simple explanation. But for you, Blade SJ, if you've got a 4.0 slot and you have this card in here and you have a great budget, I would be looking, see, you probably have in terms of CUDA cores, probably less than 2,800. And so you would be doing way more than double by going to the 3080. You would be doing like possibly triple by going to the 3080. So I feel like the 3080 would be a great upgrade for you, but it depends totally what you're doing with it as well. Can you wait until Christmas for that TI to hit? Because it's going to hit and it'll just be like a little bit more expensive. So I don't know. It depends on how patient you can be. How much can you wait? How much are you really needing it versus you're just buying into the marketing hype? With Nvidia, don't buy into the marketing hype so much. It pays to be patient with their marketing strategy. So be patient. Okay. PCI 3.0 slots versus 4.0 slots. So there is some thoughts out there that if you have a 3 slot, and right now if you're running an Intel CPU, you probably have a 3 slot. These new cards will be on a 4 slot. And the 3 slots on 16 times, I'll see if I can explain this very simply. There's skepticism on whether if you have a 3 times slot, you will be bottlenecked when running the 30 series cards because they won't have enough bandwidth because you'll be limited by the size of your slot. It's been very rare in the history of NVIDIA that that's been the case. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. And I would wait and be patient and let, again, the hardware nerds of the internet grind out the benchmarks for it first and let you know that most likely your PCIe 3 slot will be just fine. Most likely. I could end up being wrong. We'll see. But I imagine you'll be fine. So in terms of being bottlenecked by your CPU or your PCIe slot, you are probably going to be okay as long as you're on something relatively modern. And if you're on AMD, you're probably already on a 4 slot. So you're great.
I would like to go even more simple than what you've. So thank you for that mid-tier technical talk there about this, and I think that would help our viewer Blade make his decision. I think another thing to think about is what tasks are you doing that you feel you need a major upgrade like this to accomplish. And so, for example, right now, if everyone out there is watching, it has a 10 series card or even a 20 series card, and all you're doing is gaming at 1080p. You're doing 1080p gaming, 1080p content creation, 1080p editing. None of these 30 series cards make sense as an upgrade right now. There's no, if you have a decent 10 series card, 2080 or better, your 1080p content production and gaming is just fine. You'll be able to run basically everything right now on Ultra for a bit, and you're probably okay to wait until that time that Perrin is talking about when these cards go down in price, they become more optimized, and you can find out more about them. Okay, if you're
what
looking...
is the wait time on that real quick? Sorry.
The wait time on that? Who knows? I mean, who knows when the TI is going to come out? I suppose it probably matters how well these 3 cards sell. Before they, I don't know if they're going to come out with the TI before Christmas, to be honest. I think they might just sell these through Christmas and then wait till next year on the TI. We'll find out. It doesn't matter. Okay. So I don't know. We'll find out. But if it comes out this Christmas, then they'll make even more money. So give it a couple months. If you're wanting to do 1080p gaming, 1080p creation, you don't need to upgrade right now to these cards. Okay, if you're looking to do 4K gaming and 4K content creation, then I would say absolutely, without question, the 3070 and the 3080 cards are going to be the best value for your money without question. I would say right now, if you are looking to upgrade to start doing 4K properly. So if you're currently on a 10 series card or a low 20 series card and 4K is a little bit out of reach for you, let's say you're at like a 2070 or lower, then an upgrade like this would absolutely make sense because you are going to be bottlenecked if you're looking to go up to 4K gaming and you're looking to go up to 4K video editing. Here's another one. Cyberpunk 2077 is the big game everybody's looking at, and a lot of people are thinking, should I upgrade my rig just for that game? Because it's going to have ray tracing, it's going to have all the details, it's going to have such preposterous open world requirements of your rig, and so should I go buy a card to get the most out of that? I would say if you have less than a 2080 right now or lower, and you're looking to run Cyberpunk 2077 at 4K and you really want all those juicy graphics, then I would say one of these cards is probably a worthwhile upgrade for you, because that game is going to be an insanely demanding 4K gaming experience. And one of these cards, if that's your dream, is to play that game at 60 frames locked with ray tracing on and the whole nine, then yes, one of these cards will be worth it for you. And the last question that you guys should be asking yourselves is, if you're doing 4K video editing and you are currently using a let's say 2060, 2070 or lower in terms of your graphics cards, then upgrading to one of these 30 series cards will undoubtedly have a significant performance boost for you once they update the studio drivers for these cards. So my guess is once you get one of these cards, you probably aren't going to see an instant performance boost when you're doing video editing in 4K. You have to wait until the RTX studio drivers hit. Then your Adobe Premiere, then your video editing software will be optimized for 4K video editing. But you have to wait until Nvidia does that driver, and it might take a couple months. So in summary, patience is going to pay off in this situation. Patience is going to get you the drivers you need. It's going to get you the info you need on whether you need to upgrade your motherboard and what have you. And it's probably going to get you a lower price in terms of getting your hands on each of these cards, or more options on other models that will come out in the future. So if you guys can wait until after the Christmas season to buy one of these cards, you're probably going to be in the best shape as a consumer. What do you think?
I think patience isn't our stronghold. It's like, I want it now.
Gamers are not known for their patience. But this
You're
is
right.
an area where it always is better to be patient, because you're always going to you'll get one of these cards, and then then they bring out the TI and you're like, oh, but I want that one.
But I want the
TI.
That's fair.
That happens every time. So the more patient you can be, definitely at least wait for the benchmarks to come out. And normally, Ross, you were asking before, how long does it take? Once this initial line from Nvidia comes out, I think it takes around normally 2 months for the manufacturer equivalent versions to come out, not the TIs or anything like that, just the manufacturer versions that then have to go through the consumer benchmarking as well. So if you all wanted to at least wait for that, I would recommend at least waiting those 2 months.
Ross, get us the hell out of here before we spend all our money.
Oh, we're going to be spending all of our money anyway. But anyway, hop over to YouTube, subscribe to us on there if you want to watch the full replays. You don't have to watch it on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. Also, catch us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever podcasts are played. You can find us on there. AWOL, hit us with a plug, man.
Okay, everybody, I've got a 1080 graphics card in this computer right now, and Papa needs that 3080 in my rig. So Restream.io is our sponsor for the podcast, and you can click the link below. If you want to restream to multiple platforms at the same time to grow your live streaming audience faster, we're currently streaming to Twitch, DLive, Facebook, Trovo, YouTube, Periscope, all at the same time, reaching even more of you every day because of this software. Use the link below. We get credit for you installing and clicking, and we make money from that. Thank you very much. And if you want to save money, use our code DROP25. DROP25 with no space. That's DROP25 with no space when you are purchasing Restream.io, and you get 25% off. Adios, amigos, and God have mercy on your wallets.